Welcome to today's event, Safe and Sustainable Mobility in the City from New York City to Marrakesh. The purpose of this event is the launch of the United Nations JCDecaux Global Campaign for Road Safety. For those joining us online, welcome. To kick off our event, it is my absolute pleasure to invite to the stage our host, President Zeid Ra'ad Al Hussein, President and CEO of International Peace Institute. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Excellencies, dear friends, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the International Peace Institute this afternoon to this very special event to launch the United Nations JCDecaux Global Campaign for Road Safety. We are honored to host the UN Secretary General's Special Envoy for Road Safety, Jean Todt, who also serves as the chair of IPI's Board of Directors. Jean brings so much creativity and passion to everything he does, and this is evident in his tireless commitment to promoting road safety, an issue of great importance no matter who you are or where you live in the world. And I know this personally as someone who narrowly missed being killed in a serious road traffic accident 13 years ago, and am so grateful to be alive and be with you here. We are honored to host today's discussion with those deeply dedicated to the goal of decreasing risk factors and working to support safety initiatives around the world through the Make a Safety Statement campaign. I would like to thank, on behalf of IPI, the government of Luxembourg for their generous donation to support today's event. And we have the ambassador with us. And thank you, Ambassador, for your kind support, as well as Jean and his team in the Office of Road Safety at the UN. And we are grateful to JCDecaux and Global Citizen for their partnership and for amplifying the important messages and work being shared today. We are also privileged to host the organization Street Art for Mankind and the artist Dragon 76, who will be presenting a unique piece of art created for this occasion to bring further attention to the importance of road safety to safeguard the well-being of our planet and people. Thank you, and I look forward to an engaging conversation. Thank you, Esra. Thank you.
Thank you, President Zeid. We will now continue with the welcome words of Mr. Jean Todt, UN Secretary General's Special Envoy for Road Safety. But first, let's introduce Mr. Todt with a video CV. What an impressive career, Mr. Todd. Your journey indeed has driven you to your current role as the UN Secretary General's Special Envoy for Road Safety. We will now continue with your keynote speech. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening to all of you, ladies, gentlemen, excellencies, dear friends. It's a real pleasure to be here today to present you the UN JCDecaux Road Safety Campaign. And me and my friend Zaid have been starting to speak about it. And incidentally, as the UN Secretary General Special Envoy for Road Safety with a headquarters on the other side of the road, and also being hosted in my second home in New York, IPI, International Peace Institute, with Zaid as the President CEO, and also with all my colleagues of IPI, is just a perfect combination. And I'm happy also to have the presence of distinguished guests, to have the Commissioner Denis Rodriguez with a big ally, and with doing so well in New York, but he will have the opportunity of explaining, I mean, all the ambitions for New York City. And of course, I'd like to thank, as Zaid mentioned, the Ambassador of Luxembourg for your contribution to this gathering tonight, all the team of IPI, of course, and Global Citizen, who is a strong ally. But I will say in this room, we have just partners. And amongst our top partners, we have JCDecaux, who is represented by the president of JCDecaux US, Jean-Luc Decaux, who since many years have been helping us to kind of promote what I call a silent pandemic. Because in the planet, you have 8 billion population, and you have 8 billion road users. Unfortunately, every year, 1.2 million people die on the roads. Between 40 to 50 million people are injured with disability. It's amongst SDG 3.6, with the aim to halve the number of victims by 2030, and 11.2 to give access to public transportation to any citizen. And notwithstanding that, we don't speak enough about road safety. And it's something I realized when, at the time, I was involved with motor racing, as you could see in this presentation, and I was also the president of the International Automobile Federation. And I realized that we had to contribute to wake up this pandemic. All of us who have been directly or indirectly victims on the road. And we know it's around education, law enforcement, quality of vehicles, quality of roads, and quality of post-crash care. I mean, when I first met Zaid, at the time, it was in Geneva, and he was the High Commissioner for Human Rights. And I mean, I had a main goal, put road safety amongst the human rights agenda. And he immediately accepted, and also later to be part of the group of the friends of the Special Envoy. And he said, as he mentioned in his speech earlier, if he would not have had this accident with his motorbike in New York, he would not be here today. Post-crash care, the quality. And unfortunately, 93% of the figures I was mentioning are occurring in low and middle-income countries. So as we have the prescription, and as we know that by buckling the safety belt in the front, in the rear, by putting a proper UN standard helmets, by respecting the speed, by not texting and driving, but not drinking and driving, you will be able to achieve the UN road safety goals and the SDG. So, communication. And the idea came, having the privilege to be linked to the Decaux family, #1 billboard company in the world, to ask them, will you support a global campaign? And we started that at the time, and you saw that earlier, 3,500 live. Why 3,500? Because at the time we launched the campaign in 2018, it was 3,500 kills on the road every day. If we had to rename the campaign today, we would have to call it 3,800, because by then the number of victims have been increasing by 10%. And when I left my position at FIA, end of 2021, I said, here we are, opportunity of making a UN JCDecaux campaign. So we have, and I want to thank them, 14 celebrities who will be advertised in 1,000 cities, 80 countries in the world, and in each country, in each city, we will have also some national champions. Why? Because they are influencers. They are people who are listened, who are heard, who are considered, who are admired. And it will give the opportunity also to use their social media to help waking up this pandemic. And we have different aspects. I mean, you have seen at the entry a beautiful painting which was done by Dragon 76, and we will speak also about that with the contribution of Audrey and Thibaut Decker, who I like to thank for what you do. And I saw a beautiful wall earlier today, huge, fantastic, giving some message, and it's what is needed. We are also combining a program with the refugee, and the refugee are themselves artists, and we are going to bring one exhibition all over the world with helmets which will be painted by a refugee under the leadership of Max Frieder from Art Solution, with also here tonight. So, I mean, the whole thing is after having been quite successful by putting the best together in motor racing to try to win races, now the whole idea is to try to put the best together to speak about road safety. And that's your mandate. So I really hope that you will be inspired even more today after this gathering, and that we will have 100 new supporters of road safety. Next year, there is a big event under the auspice of His Majesty King of Morocco in Marrakesh, where all member states will be invited for the 4th event, talking about the decade of action for road safety. And I like also to thank the Ambassador of Morocco of being here and of contributing strongly on road safety. So that's about the meeting today. That's the presentation you had with this campaign. One of our ambassadors will join later, Jean Reynaud. And maybe again, to come back about those influencers. I mean, those people who are making people dreaming. It was something a bit new, a bit different for them to ask Djokovic to speak about road safety, or Michael Fassbender, or Patrick Dempsey. For my wife, it was easier, of course, because, I mean, she was supporting me as she's supporting me in a lot of other activities, incidentally as the UNDP Goodwill Ambassador and also as the board member of IPI, so it's kind of good combination. But asking, I mean, all those celebrities to give something back. And I think in this room, not one excluded, we are all blessed people. And when we have access to people who are not as blessed as we are, it gives the will, the energy to try to make them life better. And that's what we are trying to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Todd, for sharing your valuable insights. We will now continue with Mr. Jean-Luc Decaux, President and co-CEO, JCDecaux North America. The floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Jean Todd for his vision and his leadership. Without you, we wouldn't be here today. So I would like to thank the Special Envoy and his team for organizing this event, and even more importantly, for focusing us on the pressing issue of road safety. On behalf of the board of JCDecaux, I underscore that we are honored to be a United Nations partner and to work with Mr. Todd and his team on the International Road Safety Campaign. I would also like to thank New York City, and in particular our daily partners, Commissioners Rodriguez, amazing team at the Department of Transportation. JCDecaux was founded to provide streetscape services to cities funded by communication posted on those services. And we have stayed true to that mission to today. As the global leader of the outdoor advertising industry, we have continued to innovate the services we provide. 10 years ago, New York City was the first US city to implement an initiative that has saved lives. The policies of Vision Zero, a key component of which was education and awareness. JCDecaux has been operating in North America for almost 30 years, and we are fully aware of our responsibility to the public and the role we can play to ensure a safe and pleasant public space for everyone. And the Safety Awareness Campaign is an important part of that. Today is the launch of the US campaign, and JCDecaux network in cities like New York, Chicago, and Boston will communicate safety messages that can be viewed by almost 12 million city dwellers and their millions of visitors. And this campaign is part of an effort JCDecaux have supported since 2017, when it was launched in Brussels last September, and it has already been seen by millions of people in Belgium, Mongolia, and South Africa, and it will, over the next 2 years, be translated into 30 languages and seen on JCDecaux advertising panel all over the world in more than 80 countries and across 1,000 cities. It has long been our corporate social responsibility policy to encourage responsible communication, thus improving everyday life across the globe. This campaign underscores our sustainable media that can be used its power and mass reach to raise awareness to save lives. JCDecaux is glad to participate in this important program, and I'm proud to have launched this campaign today in New York and to be with you on this panel today. Thank you very much, Jean.
Thank you, Mr. Decaux. Your dedication to this cause highlights the critical role of road safety in our communities. We will now continue with our first keynote speaker. It is my absolute pleasure to invite His Excellency Omar Hilale, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of the Kingdom of Morocco to the United Nations, to the stage. The floor is yours.
The President and CEO of the International Peace Institute, dear Undersecretary General and Special Envoy for Road Safety, dear CEO and President of JCDecaux North Africa, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and dear friends. Road safety is an urgent and preventable global health crisis. We are approaching the halfway point of the decade of action for road safety 2021 and 2030. And while some progress has been made, much more needs to be done to accelerate action. Every year, road crashes claim the lives of nearly 1.2 million people around the world each year, around 3,200 every day. An additional of 20 to 50 million people suffer non-fatal injuries, many of whom become disabled. In addition, road accidents are the leading cause of death among children and young people aged 5 to 29, and the 20th leading cause of the 12th leading cause of the death across all ages. In this regard, a new resolution on improving global road safety, RS 78 to 90, tabled by the Kingdom of Morocco, was adopted by consensus on 24 June 2024, with the support of 57 member states. The resolution urged member states and the relevant actors to strengthen our collective commitment to accelerate and intensify efforts to implement global plan for the decade of action for road safety, and to accelerate and scale up effort to make road safety political priority and ensure its relevance in the broader sustainable development agenda. It also reaffirms the importance of continuing the work until 2030 to achieve all the targets of the 2030 agenda relating to road safety, such as target 3.6 and 11.2, and measuring the importance they have for achieving of Sustainable Development Goals 3 and 11. It also calls for acceleration of efforts to achieve other goals, including the eradication of poverty, gender equality, climate change, decent jobs, innovation, and transport. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to direct your attention to the upcoming 4th Ministerial Conference on Road Safety that the Kingdom of Morocco would have the honor to host. This important global conference will be held in Marrakesh on 18-20 February 25, and will bring together leaders, experts, academia, private sector, and NGOs to accelerate actions toward the Sustainable Development Goals, targets of halving global road death by 2030. The conference will be focused on commitment as a vector for mobilizing all stakeholders to improve road safety at the global level, and will focus on assessing progress, identifying priorities, sharing knowledge, forging and strengthening alliance, and advancing commitments and action to save more lives from traffic accidents. The conference will host pre-event a ministerial roundtable, 5 plenary sessions, and 24 parallel sessions. In addition to this, the conference will host innovation and an innovation competition and film festival on road safety. Furthermore, the conference will cover the following topics: political commitments and implementation, road safety financing, interministerial coordination, private sector engagement through reporting and implementation of the Road Safety Index that was launched by the United Nations Secretary General, Special Envoy for Road Safety in connection with the Sustainable Transport Decade of Action. In this regard, I would like to inform that official invitation to the conference will be sent out early July 2024. All the information regarding the conference will be available online through the conference website www.roadsafetymorocco.com. As mentioned previously, road safety financing will be one of the key priorities of the Marrakesh conference. Thus, in collaboration with Special Envoy for Road Safety, Morocco will host the high-level pledging forum as pre-event of this conference. I would like to point out that Morocco's ambition for this conference are measured. On the one hand, we aspire that the Marrakesh conference would be the voice of developing countries that bear a great burden, both in terms of loss of human lives due to traffic accidents and in terms of socio-economic impacts. Together with global safe community, Morocco, as the host country, is fully committed to do its best to have a very strong and action-oriented Marrakesh Declaration on Road Safety to be adopted at the conference. On the other hand, Marrakesh Conference on Road Safety will be the first of its kind on the African continent. Thus, Particular attention will be paid to Africa as a region where road fatality rates continue to increase and where mobility and transport systems are evolving at a very rapid pace. Unfortunately, a very limited number of African countries have technical standards aligned with United Nations standards of road infrastructures. Indeed, between 2010 and 2021, the number of road accident deaths in Africa increased by 17%, with vulnerable road users accounting for 50% of all deaths, while in most other regions, rates were falling. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in this last part of my intervention, I would like to focus on Morocco's action regarding road safety. Like other countries in the world, Morocco, that has an important development of motorization, is not immune from the scourge of traffic accidents. In this context, road safety is considered a national priority since February 1825, when His Majesty the King Mohammed VI launched the first national road safety strategy. This date was a historical turning point in the institutional management of road safety, and a lot of improvement has been made since that time. The strategy was implemented from 2004 to 2013, with the major objectives to reverse the upward trend in the annual number of deaths and serious injuries, and to reduce their number in sustainable and continuous manner. The second road safety strategy, that covered the period 2017-2026, is focused on reducing the number of deaths from road accidents to 50% by 2026. This effort was strengthened by the creation in 2018 of the National Road Safety Agency as the Road Safety Management and Governance Body. In this regard, February 18 is the National Road Safety Day in Morocco. Today, I confirm that all government and private stakeholders and NGOs are fully engaged in the implementation of the second national roads. Furthermore, to overcome the challenges faced by the vulnerable roads users, namely motorcyclists and pedestrians, who are the most involved in traffic accidents and who represents around 70% of fatalities nationally, Morocco has just launched Safe Moto program to raise awareness about road safety, law enforcement, education, and the improvement of the quality and standards of infrastructure. Thus, for the launch of our global campaign today, the most relevant statement for Morocco would be, I wear helmet, I am safe. To conclude, on behalf of the Kingdom of Morocco, I seize this opportunity to invite you and welcome all of you to Marrakesh to participate at the 4th Global Ministerial Conference on road safety that endeavors to offer its participants a platform for rich and fruitful discussion on improving road safety. You are welcome to the enchanting and ochre city of Marrakesh, place brimming with history, culture, and architectural wonders, and engagement for road safety. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Hilali. I will now invite to the stage Her Excellency Ms. Hera Sampson, Deputy Head of the European Union Delegation to the United Nations, for her remarks.
Thank you very much, and dear Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues. The European Union is very honored to participate in this launch today of the UN Global Road Safety Campaign. It's a topic very dear to the EU. And let me start by thanking you and Special Envoy Jean Todt for the key role that you play in promoting and improving road safety on a global level. As individuals, we all interact with transport networks all the time. Transport is personal. Measures taken to improve road safety affect people. And when we fail, the effects are very personal indeed, both physically and emotionally. It's our role as policymakers to lead by example, to ensure we engineer safe infrastructure to ensure that we educate road users and to ensure enforcement applies in a visible and consistent way. The EU's path towards road safety has been a positive one. Today, the EU has the world's safest roads. In the last 20 years, the number of road deaths has fallen from over 50,000 to 20,000. Now, this amounts to 46 fatalities per million population, which still remains unacceptably high. Moreover, the downward trend in the number of deaths appears to be leveling off. We are a long way from meeting the UN target to halve the number of road deaths by 2030. This means that renewed efforts are required also within the EU. We are working on a number of legislative measures, and we're also working closely with member states and cities to exchange best practices and promote road safety solutions. We remain committed to road safety as a global issue. We recognize the importance of the UN Road Safety Fund in supporting road safety efforts globally, particularly in developing countries, to meet the target to halve road death by 2030. The EU started contributing to the fund in 2019. We have also been providing support for global road safety through our own programs in the Western Balkans, Eastern Partnership countries, and in Africa. For instance, we have invested 8 million euro under our research program Horizon to help implement a safe system approach in Africa. And we have secured 5 million euro in support of the African Road Safety Observatory. We've also awarded Georgia 1.7 million euro to establish a new road safety observatory for the Eastern Partnership region. If we want to reach the SDGs, we need to remember that improving road safety and encouraging active and sustainable mobility go hand in hand. By increasing levels of sustainable mobility, and in particular active mobility such as walking and cycling, we can play an important role in overcoming many challenges faced by countries and cities such as road death, sanitary crisis, air pollution, climate change, etc. It is important, however, to stress that simply shifting from car use to walking or cycling also risks an increase in road death and serious injuries. The appropriate mix of infrastructure is essential to improve the safety of pedestrians and cyclists. Road safety, therefore, needs to be tackled from a multidisciplinary perspective. If we do it right, we as policymakers can improve our citizens' lives in a lasting way. I look forward to listening to today's discussion on how we can collectively improve road safety as we embark on a journey towards the Marrakesh conference. I thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Sampson. We will now kick off the discussion segment, and it is now my pleasure to invite His Excellency Mr. Krzysztof Sierski, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of the Republic of Poland to the UN, to the stage.
Thank you so much. I was asked to say a few words at the outset of the discussion panel. So, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, esteemed guests and hosts, coming here, I was almost hit by the speeding car on the diplomatic plate. So I believe there's a lot of space to be improved also in our own circle. So, but I just want to say that, of course, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to speak during this launching of the global campaign for road safety in the United States, and to present the Polish achievements in this area. I think that's why I was invited actually to this panel, because over the 10 years, Poland has significantly improved the road safety nationwide, and set an example of how to take this issue seriously. If you want to take the numbers, our biggest accomplishment is the 47% decrease in number of road fatalities between 2012 and 2022, 47% decrease. Even though the traffic is getting heavier and there are more and more cars on the roads, we have fewer accidents. There has been a genuine commitment in Poland to improve infrastructure, scale up educational campaigns, and boost law enforcement. And that's maybe we can come at that during the discussion to that. All being the key factors in my opinion in this impressive reduction in death on roads. To give you the wider context, in 2021, Poland adopted the Comprehensive National Road Safety Program by 2030, which sets the framework for our ambitions. Our focus has been placed on large investment in the Polish road network using the highly specialized engineering knowledge, which greatly contributes to road safety, and a number of technical changes, such as expansion of the speed camera and the time over distance camera network, an increase in drink driving enforcement checks, and the introduction of the emergency corridor system enabling emergency vehicles to access accident sites on motorways. This has been recognized by the European Transport Safety Board, which awarded its 2023 Road Safety Program Performance Index Award to Poland. Still, the work is far from over. There are still high numbers of road accidents in Poland and way too many road fatalities. So we are prepared to work hard to change it. And we are ready to share our experience to make an ambitious ambitions of the second UN decade of actions for road safety a reality. And we hope that we can share these experiences also in the Marrakesh conference. So thank you very much for this listen to these introductory remarks, and I give back the floor back to the
Thank you, Ambassador.
moderator.
Now we're going to follow up with a few questions. As you already mentioned, the European Transport Safety Council awarded Poland with the Road Safety Performance Index Award. You mentioned 47%, and which is significantly higher than the EU average of 22%. You already shared some of the reasons why of this success story, but would you like to elaborate more on this? And what are your recommendations for other countries?
So I would say that what I've mentioned, this should be combination of the soft and hard tools and combined. So first of all, of course, the investment in the road infrastructure. This really is the game changer also in Poland. With the better infrastructure, you have you really can decrease the numbers. But also combined that was what as I understand we are launching today also the educational and information campaigns, starting from the very level of the schools, kindergartens, up to all the road users. And it's not only for the car users. It should be just a comprehensive campaigns, information campaigns, and education campaigns also for all of those who are using roads, the bikers and all the others. And of course, legislative changes, and yes, higher fees. I'm really one that will advocate that we also have the law enforcement. No, it's not just persuasion. It's also should be the carrot and the stick. To educate, to help people to understand the situation, but also really the higher fees and the law enforcement. The role of the police, it's also undeniable.
Thank you, Ambassador. According to the latest World Health Organization report, the road traffic fatality rate in Poland is 7 per 100,000 population, close to the European average of 6.5. But there's still room for progress if you look at Sweden's rate of 2. Where will you focus your efforts now to achieve the new decade of action target of a 50% reduction in road traffic victims and ultimately achieve the vision of zero road traffic victims?
First of all, we have to have ambitions, and it's good to see there is a point of reference in our friends in Scandinavia. Of course, maybe also the number of I would say the intensity of the car users in Scandinavia, especially in part of it, it's close to zero, so it's easier to achieve it. Of course, we are happy and we congratulate them for the fantastic achievements. Of course. But first of all, to have ambition, then to have the program. It really needs a comprehensive strategy. This is what the UN Special Envoy is advocating, and I believe this is the role for the national governments and for the public the governments actually on every level. It should be not just the central government strategy. It should also be embedded in the policy of the self-governments on the cities and the local levels, because it's but you have to have a strategy. And we got this National Road Safety Program by 2030, and this is the comprehensive approach to the issue. So I really advocate to have elaborate in a consensus within all the stakeholders the kind of comprehensive strategy for each of the states of the countries.
Thank you, Ambassador. So when it comes to safe and sustainable mobility in cities, what is the biggest challenge that Poland is facing? What would you say? And can you please provide an example on how you address it?
You know, what I believe is the biggest challenge in Poland, I think it's, I mean, we share it with the rest of the world, is the urban safety. I think, and the safe urban mobility, when you look at the urban, safe urban mobility, that means it's really a combination of the, as I said, all kinds of the road users. No, it's not just the cars; it's all the bikes, but also the other whatever we use now to move ourselves. So it's and we have this expansion of a different special, I would say, tools and the responsibilities that we share with the proper cities authorities, really to make the investment in the urban road infrastructure important part of the whole comprehensive program.
Thank you, Ambassador. And let's perhaps finish with a campaign question. Among the road safety campaign messages focusing on risk factors, which one would be the most relevant for Poland? Wearing a seatbelt or a helmet, reducing speed, avoiding distracted driving, not driving under the influence, or respecting pedestrians? How would you make a safety statement, or what would you say?
Well, of course, all of them are important, and but no, pointing out one of them is like blaming ourselves for what we are the worst on. So we said, generally, I believe in the starting from the Hamptons 2 weeks ago or last week, and I wouldn't name the superstar that was actually having problem with that. I would say not drive under the influence. Thank you.
We will now continue with other speakers, and please join me in welcoming Mr. Hidanis Rodriguez, Commissioner of the New York City Department of Transportation, to the stage.
Thank you. First of all, another big applause to John Thor for a great job. I just believe that we should definitely declare crashes as an epidemic because this can be avoided. We prefer, as you know, not to use the term accidents, but to use the term crashes. Accidents only involve a few percentage. But most children, senior citizens, anyone who died as a result of a crash happen because the small percentage of reckless driver didn't stop in a red light, was speeding, was drinking and driving, and they didn't care for the most vulnerable. Here in New York City, what we are doing is changing the way on how we reimagine the use of public space. And yes, Vision Zero didn't start here in our city, but it started in Europe. Myself, that was born and raised in the Dominican Republic, and was a little bit late because I was flying back from DR, where 2 days ago I held a conversation with the director of the National Transportation in the Dominican Republic, and also the enforcement unit, sharing the experience what we do in New York City. Yes, we want to go to zero. And King and the educational team, they do a great job. We are not there yet. And as you say, that's a goal. However, what I can share with you is that, and I'm not going to be, this is what New York City is, what we are responsible for. We manage 27% of the land in New York City. That is composed by our sidewalk, our roadway. We are taking places that used to be only used for storage for cars, like Times Square, and transforming as a public space. Those are Shakira could hold a concert of 40,000 people. We are also responsible for the bridges and other things. But this is what, you could see Times Square on the right, you could see the Brooklyn Bridge. Again, the other side. But continuing with the crashes, I just want for all to, and then I will get into the slides about, I want to invite all of us to think about the society that we want to build for us and for the children. Many people die, because I'm a person of faith, but most people die in the crashes. That wasn't the day for them to die. There was a lady, 77 years old, going to walk at 5:30 in the morning, Grand Concourse 177. A drivers hit her so hard that it touched the head for the rest of the body. It didn't have to happen. So what we are doing in New York City is, again, reimagining the use of public space. What is that we can share with you that we have accomplished in our city under Mayor Adams and myself? Last year, 2023, we got the lowest numbers of pedestrian fatality in New York City since we started collecting data for the last 113 years. When the nation had the higher numbers of pedestrian fatalities in the 80s, here in New York City, we've been getting the lowest numbers since we started collecting data. We use a 3E, the E of engineer, and we are resigning. You see all the work that we're doing. The third E, and then on the engineer, is about working with a great planner, Eric Victor, and other members of our team, reimagining every intersection that we can make it safer for pedestrians and cyclists. And equity is key as we do those projects, because in the past, New York City put all the money in the middle and upper class community. So we've been spreading the investment in working class community too. So if the engineer is working. The second E is education. We invest around $50 million every year. And that was an initiative that I started when I was a council member, a position that I hold for 12 years. And that money allowed New York City to be sure that there's a permanent resources to educate drivers, to slow down, knowing that speeding ruins life, and then also educating pedestrians and cyclists. The third E is enforcement. And on enforcement, the private sector is invited to respond. A contract $150 million for our speed camera that we've been using in New York City, as we also do the red light camera. So educational, engineer, enforcement has allowed the city to get those numbers to the lowest number. So this is the type of work that we can say how we are making our streets safer. Let's continue faster. So this is how we've been reimagining. You can see the left and the right, the before and the after, how we are making our streets safer. Last year, we improved safety in more than 1 million square feet in New York City. And so this is one of the slides, you can see the before and the after. Let's go to the next one. Again, Public Plaza. On the Marco Bloomberg and Commissioner Jeanette, we built the first plaza in New York City. It was only the one in Times Square. On our Mayor Adam and myself, we have brought those numbers to more than 90 plaza in New York City. So again, great top priority for us to give more space, to reclaim the space. Yes, drivers need the space to move the vehicle, but also pedestrians and cyclists deserve to also use the public spaces. It's a typical example of how we are reimagining our public spaces. At 34th Avenue in Queens, we took 1.8 miles and we transformed it as one of the best role models being selected in the nation on how we turned 1.8 miles as a green space for cyclists, for pedestrians, for culture, for wellness and art. And what we are also recognizing is that as we do the bike lane, not only we are looking for the traditional cyclists, but also the bike lane is about giving more spaces, because even though some people were against Amazon, when Amazon wanted to come to New York City, but even those individuals, they use Amazon. So 80% of New York are placing an order once a week through Amazon, UPS, FedEx. The same thing, 24% are placing order 4 times a week. So we are reimagining our public space for cyclists so that not only cyclists can use it, but also the delivery company should have more widening bike lane. We are the first nation that took 2nd Avenue Third Avenue, widening not only space for the traditional cyclists, but also for the business community. This is yes, only sharing, like, open streets in Brooklyn, dining out in New York City. The open street during COVID, as you know, we saved 100,000 jobs when we had 12,000 open street. But now, open street during COVID was more barricade for people to walk. Under our time in the mayor, we invite non-for-profit and also business improvement district to have real partners. So the left is the open street, and then the right is the dining out, when we get more space in the right sidewalk and roadway for the restaurant, also to have the tables and chair. That program is also under our agency. This is overall some of the things that we are doing, but I know because of the timing, I know that the agenda is tight, and there's all the great guest individual to present it. As again, I just wanted to close as I started. Crashes is an epidemic. COVID is over, but crashes is not. And we can make the changes. And it requires not only for us to reimagine the use of public space, but also it comes with the social class aspect. I'm the first commissioner that still live in the underserved community, who came here at the age of 18 without speaking the language. So what I brought to DOT is that experience, giving the voices of working class community for the agency to go to those communities. So to make the average New Yorkers part of that conversation about transportation. Thank you.
You can stay. Thank you, Commissioner Rodriguez. In fact, this is quite ambitious. I will now skip to the second question because you already answered the first question, which is the 3E approach that New York City is taking. So in the US, road crashes are the second biggest cause of accidental death after firearms. According to the World Health Organization, the US fatality rate is estimated at 12.7 per 100,000. Compared to Europe, which we mentioned, 6.5. Pedestrian deaths in the US rose more than 40% from 2010 to 2018, which is over twice the pace of any other OECD country. Can the success of New York City be replicable in other US cities?
It's true. And as I said, not only myself as a born and raised in Dominican Republic, and also, participating in some conference in other city in the nation, but also going to other places in the region. This is something that John Tapp will talk about it. We need to share the good practice. And the good things that we do in New York City is not only here. It's about, there's a lot of things that also is happening in Europe, is happening in Africa. The great brother from Polish, the founder of the International Bike Day, he went to the UN and he said, biking had to be seen as an instrument of physical education. So what we are doing is, again, yes, it's sharing the good things. And we can be speaking right now, and there's another, the last crashes that is hurting us. So I'm not saying that there's no more pedestrian, that they are not losing their life. I just share again, as I said before, the engineer and the educational, and I'm not shy. I fight hard. Told my team, the agency is composed by 6,000 men and women, great partners, as you know, with JCDecaux, which is a great partner with us as we do the bus shirts, but they also help us to say how many bus shirts do you need to advertise the campaign. So what we are doing is not only relying on the engineer, but also inviting the private sector. If we want to be real, we live in two society. And 76% of people who live in Manhattan, they don't have cars. If you ask a question, because we had a good network of transportation. So our commitment is also to incentivize the private sector, EDC, with other agencies, and this is a global, I hope that there can be a global approach so that we can create good paid job, so people can live 15 minutes away from where they work. So if anyone, as we start in the city bike downtown Manhattan, yes, going up to 59, most people who live in the Upper West Side, the Lower East Side, you use the biking. But if you live in North Manhattan, in the Bronx, where the state control at Indianapolis say it takes an hour and a half or 80% of people to go to work. So there's more challenges. So improving safety is about what we are doing from the engineer perspective. It's about education. It's working with the NYPD, but it's also inviting all sectors of the society to look at transportation as a comprehensive, and again to recognize that all those victims of crashes, those are lives that they could be saved.
Absolutely. As commissioner, you're putting a lot of efforts in giving access to safe and sustainable transport for all, which is an SDG target 11.2. Can you give us an example of what you have put in place in terms of making transportation more inclusive?
Again, using my own experience, I'm 59 already, and I'm tier 4. I did my 15 years as a teacher, and I did my 2 years as a council member, and now I'm being the commissioner for 2.5 years. I lean back and say, I'm not losing my shot. And we need to use our shot. And today, as I was driving from DR to here, I was watching other movies of Mother Cabrini, when she said, we need to work for the society that we dream. So I feel that it only takes for all of us to do our part. You just say, if all the celebrity also help us to promote drivers, slow down, save life, make it as a good compassion for people. Like sometimes in the case of New York City, and this is something that I invite especially the leaders for all the places. I was riding the bike with the Minister of Transportation of Ireland, and he said, if you use a bike half an hour every day, you will live an average of 6 more years. So what I'm doing is bringing also those information to the underserved community that sometimes they've been told that biking is equal being poor. When I was born in 1965, my father had a bike. But in many parts of the society, especially where immigrants come from to New York City, we were told that biking is equal be poor. If you are a politician in many countries, Latin America and other, where people come from, you have to go campaigning in 5 or 10 big pickup trucks. You cannot go just biking in many places. In this region, you have to show if you are like a mini car, big one, you have power. What we know, and what we know here in New York City, many of us, we bike. You want to live near Central Park where you can bike. You need to live near like the Upper West Side where there's a nice roadway that you can bike and enjoy the water. Senator Schumer is one of the biggest cyclists here. And he always said, like, when I use my bike and I enjoy the water, I disconnect for all the pressure that we have in our life. So for me, it has been transferring my story, my life. I came here, my second job in this city was doing sandwiches at 55 Water Street. From where now I lead this Department of Transportation, the most complex Department of Transportation in the most density city. And this is something that when someone compare and someone say, well, but in this city, in Europe, we bike. My first question is, let's talk about social class. Because if that city is not doesn't have the same density, then it's different. If that city is mainly composed by middle class and upper class, New York City is a place, it's a destination. So again, this is about how we invite those voices that have been empowered to make decisions to also go down. Society usually, conversation transportation has been more controlled by upper class, middle class, and people with BA, master degree, and PhD. If you hold any forum in any part of the city, at least in New York City, I don't know in Europe, usually wealthy individual higher level education, they take control of education and they work on some policy that then later on people doesn't embrace it because they has not been part of this conversation. So for me, it's about, again, bringing that conversation to the whole city. So.
Thank you, Commissioner Rodriguez, for your insights. Now, please join me in welcoming Ms. Lucrecia Ohar, Account Manager of Local Government at Esri, to the stage.
Hi, thank you for having me, and I'm so happy to be here on behalf of Esri. So I'm not sure that many of you are familiar with us, so I'll give a little bit of background in this introduction. So we are a geographic information system software company that was founded in 1969. So geographic information systems create, manage, analyze, and map all types of data. GIS technology applies geographic science and uses tools to understand and to create collaboration. It can help people reach a common goal to gain actionable intelligence from all types of information. So from that, we can create maps, integrate data from other platforms, perform analysis, and create applications. So what is the geographic approach? It is a way of thinking and solving problems that consider how factors are interconnected, and we unite data by leveraging what it has in common. And we see that as location. In this vein, we can then begin to solve problems by identifying patterns and then analyze, visualize, design, and enable collaboration. So at Esri, we see the importance of balancing environmental, economic, and societal needs. This creates holistic thinking on both the micro and the macro scale. This thinking, along with the geographic approach, are enabled by GIS technologies. As GIS becomes more interconnected, it forms geospatial infrastructure that supports collaboration, helps transform workflows, and decision-making at all scales. So at Esri, we are happy to support many UN agencies, countries, and other organizations. We are very involved in the SDG initiatives and provide analytic solutions to achieve sustainable development. We are a partner of the SDG Data Alliance, and we have developed SDG applications for different organizations, countries, businesses, and academia. We also provide SDG grants to SDG-DA countries and provide technology to all developing countries as defined by the World Bank. And we also work a lot with all kinds of industries, but specifically, and I think in today's conversation, with governments, both at the local level and at the national level. And so this is a topic that is really important to me. I have a background in transportation planning, and I have the privilege to work in New York City and support our New York City agencies. So, Commissioner, we do help support DOT quite a bit, and we can provide a lot of tools that can help with this initiative.
Thank you, Ms. Ohar. It is clear that safer roads benefit everyone, and thank you so much for sharing what Esri is doing to achieve the safest roads worldwide. Perhaps one question on the gap, based on the interventions that you heard today, and also looking forward, next year is the 10th anniversary of the SDGs. Can you tell us where you think the road safety gap is and where Esri plans to concentrate its efforts?
Yeah, so we support a lot of our customers, which are organizations that are government agencies or nonprofits that work in this arena by providing a lot of solutions of the things that the commissioner was speaking about, which is visualization, operations, planning, analysis, and equity. So some of the things that have really come up are, using digital twin. As I said, our system, what is really fantastic is that it is agnostic and you can really visualize all kinds of data. And so that is one of the things that I see as a bit of a challenge is where are we getting that data? We have tons of data sources in a lot of different places, but again, that's not necessarily equitable. We see a lot more advancements in the EU, especially with smart cities, using sensor technology. In New York, we are starting to implement a bit more of those pedestrian sensors, also using advancements in technology such as artificial intelligence, using both imagery and video. We can also identify and analyze that data so that we can make the most impact when it comes to crash analysis, speeding. But we also want to focus on supporting these organizations with their infrastructure for looking at the street as a whole, smart streets, looking at pedestrians and all of the infrastructure as well. But we see that challenge with data issues. One of the things that the commissioner brought up is that in the past, they had used a lot of that 311 data to figure out where they were going to invest the money. that is self-selection data. People in richer neighborhoods tend to do that. So by leveraging location intelligence and data, we can actually look at where there is a need, not just from the people who speak the loudest and have the most privilege. Accessibility is something else that can be a challenge. Like I was saying, accessibility of data, accessibility of technology, accessibility of funds. Collaboration, this is a multidisciplinary problem. It's not just a transportation or transit agency. This goes among different agencies, different levels of government. And so having that collaboration and strategy, vision, and, and buy-in from all of these folks, but also, we are software. So from the technology side, that's also made even bigger. But I do think there's a great future for this.
Thank you, Ms. Zohar.
Thank you.
Please now join me in welcoming to the stage Ms. Dani Simons, Vice President of Communications and Public Affairs for Alstom's Americas region.
Hello, thank you so much to the IPI and the Special Envoy for Roadway Safety for having me. I realize I'm one of the last speakers standing in between you and cocktails, so I'll try to keep my remarks fairly brief. I've been working in the field of transportation for the last 25 years, and for me, roadway safety is fundamental to achieving goals both around climate and around social equity. One of my perspectives that I bring is immediately prior to working at Alstom, I had the fortune of serving as the Director of Public Affairs and Special Assistant to Secretary Buttigieg at USDOT. And it really widened my perspective. I've spent the last 20 years, more or less, in New York City and seeing transportation from one perspective, and Commissioner Rodriguez definitely covered that. But in the US, broadly speaking, transportation is 1/3 of our carbon emissions, and people are making choices about how to move around. I'm someone who comes at this very much from a climate background, and for me, making sure that people have more options and aren't as relying on driving is essential. But to be able to do that, we have to make it possible for people to make those choices. I believe that people are inherently rational, and when you can't access a transit stop within a mile walk, or you have to cross an 8-lane highway to get to a transit stop, or you have to walk on a roadway with no sidewalks, you're making the best decision you can, and sometimes that's driving. Some people can't make that decision because they can't afford to drive, and they're making decisions to put themselves out in dangerous conditions because they still have to get to work. They still have to get to doctor's appointments. That's part of why the US has one of the most abysmal records on roadway safety of any country in the developed world. At USDOT, we saw that as a challenge, and it was something that we were definitely trying to address with the first ever national roadway safety strategy. The first time that USDOT committed to a goal of 0 traffic fatalities and unprecedented levels of funding for roadway safety that was achieved through the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, the bipartisan infrastructure law. And I'm very proud of those accomplishments, but there's still so much more to do. We live in a very weird, divided, very polarizing time. But for me, there is nothing more uniting than roadway safety. I think that roadway safety is something that we can think about as giving people more options and more choice, which tends to be bipartisan, giving people the ability to save money because they can choose modes of transportation that don't cost as much, and by really helping strengthen our families by protecting the most vulnerable among us. And so I'm very delighted to be here today and very thankful to JCDecaux and the others that have worked on this incredible campaign. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Simons. Perhaps one question on progress. From advising the federal government on mobility to your current position, how have you seen the evolution in saving lives while connecting people?
Thank you for that question. I mean, I think for me, the journey has been around looking at sort of where I started out, at least in New York City. It was a fight for every single bike lane, and it was a fight for every single inch of street space that we were doing something different and more creative with. And I had the fortune of working for New York City DOT in the Bloomberg administration under Jeanette Sadi-Khan, and that was very striking. The idea of changing our roads and changing our society in a way that would enable people to get around in a different way was I think, very jarring for people. And Commissioner Rodriguez spoke well. I think some of it is education and really deep organizing that needs to change hearts and minds, but some of it was also just the first time you do something different is really hard. Fast forward to my last experience at USDOT, we were able to take a federal agency, which I think was deeply committed to safety broadly, and sort of unpack the insight that 95% of the fatalities in our nation's transportation network are on our roadways, and that deserved a lot more attention than it had been getting, and put real focus and attention to that, and then put the resources that Congress gave from the infrastructure bill to be able to bring billions more dollars to road safety than had been in the past federal transportation bill. And it's those dollars combined with local public will and good local projects that actually help change to happen. And so I think that's incredibly important. I'm very proud to be at Alstom today. I feel like ultimately more public transportation, more rail transportation is essential to helping us meet our climate goals and helping meet safety goals by giving people options of ways to travel that don't require them to get in a car. And Alstom is committed to advancing roadway safety and making first, last mile options more safe and attractive also through the work we do through the Alstom Foundation.
Thank you very much. Perhaps a few words on your specific initiatives at Alstom.
Sure. So through the Alstom Foundation, there's two that I would just highlight briefly. One is that we've been partners for a long time with Walk 21, which is a wonderful initiative that I'm sure a lot of people in this room are familiar with. We've helped sponsor and help co-develop an app that pedestrians can use, or anyone can use, to basically walk around their communities and give scores as they go with how safe they feel in their communities. And it can provide some of that data that was just being talked about that can help decision makers actually make better decisions. And like Commissioner Rodriguez talked about, it's really coming from the people who are experiencing those conditions in their communities. Another initiative that we are supporting just more recently is with an NGO based in Brazil. They work with people with mental and physical disabilities, and we are funding a project that they have with a local university in Sao Paulo to use virtual reality to help people with mental and physical disabilities actually kind of practice navigating through their communities and taking transit. And it helps them gain confidence and experience and understand what their challenges will be so that they can actually successfully make those trips and use public transit and become more marketable in the job market. And of course, the end goal is to make those communities safer and more accessible for those people, and not just have them use virtual reality to overcome things, but as an interim step. I think it's a very interesting project and an interesting combination of technology to solve some of these challenges.
Thank you, Ms. Simons.
Thank you.
Also, many thanks to all of our wonderful speakers and participants. So now it is time to listen to the road safety statements from our special guests who are committed to this cause. And first of all, I have the great honor of inviting actor and road safety actor, Mr. Jean Reno, to the stage.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Reno, our question is...
It's a great honor for me to be here.
So very simple, very quick question. Why are you committed to this cause? Can you tell us?
Why? So it's easy. It's easy. I have kids. I have friends. I love cars, but I love more people. And I want to be with my friend Jean-Todt because he's an exceptional man. And because the cause, it's a good cause. Protect the pedestrian. That's why I'm here.
Thank you. And what key message would you give to our audience to help stop road carnage and better engage in road safety on a daily basis? What would be your call to action?
You in a car, you protect it. You have a mass of iron around you. Think that the people in the streets doesn't have any armor. They have flesh and bones. They're like you, and they have blood, red blood, like you.
Thank you, Mr. Reno, for
Thank
your
you.
call to action.
Thank you.
As you will you all will have noticed, we have had the honor tonight of having a live performance from Street Art for Mankind artist Dragon 76. I would like to now welcome to the stage the co-founders of Street Art for Mankind, Audrey and Thibaut Decker.
Thank you very much all. So my name is Audrey Decker, and with my partner Thibaut, we are the co-founder of Street Art for Mankind, and this is a fabulous artist, Dragon 76. So we are really obviously very excited and honored to be here. First, we would like to thank a special envoy, John Todd, and his team, his fabulous team. Thank you, Stephanie, for making all this happen. So thank you all. We would like also to thank the generous anonymous donor who made this actually activation possible today. Thank you to this anonymous donor. And finally, last but not least, so this painting will be presented to IPI as a recognition for their incredible support to peace. So a huge thank you to IPI for doing this incredible work. So thank you. And thank you, JCDecaux, as well for the support and the long-term support, because we started working together already 6-7 years ago. So thank you for your trust. So we are the co-founder of Street Art for Mankind. So briefly, we were created almost 10 years ago. We are a nonprofit organization, and what we do is basically we are a little bit bold. We try to inspire people by creating very large, very big murals to touch the heart of people. It's like in other, maybe in the movie industry, the same. We touch the heart of people, and then we make them act. And hopefully we make them feel like they can change it, and they're going to change it. So that's what we're trying to do. So this is really about performing. Sometimes it's very, very, very big, and this is about triggering change. It started originally about a cause. I mean, as Jean-Reno was saying, we are parents, and we are parents too. And in 2015, we met with the Nobel Peace Prize, Kailash Satyarthi, who had the Nobel Peace Prize with Malala. And we were super moved by, and we didn't know anything at that time about child labor and trafficking. We were in the Fortune 500 world. We were like in a, our little bubbles. But then it opened our heart, and we said, okay, well, this man is doing so much. What if with what we know, we were doing something? And we kind of gave up on everything, on the, the comfort of our seats, and we kind of took the train and decided to do something. And we created this big festival in Miami. The United Nations heard about it. We were invited to do the first street art exhibition at the United Nations. It was January 2017. And then you all know here, UN is a big family, so it started with trafficking, but then, okay, can you support gender equality? Can you support ecosystem restoration? Can you support education for all, etc., the hunger? And then, yes, of course, we have not only one problem in our world, we have so many. So if our art, if we can do our tiny piece to make a change, let's do it. So we said yes to everything, and now we create maybe 40 to 60 murals all around the world every single year, and we're trying to do a little bit of impact. Thibaut, you want to tell more about our work?
Thank you, Audrey. I won't add much after Audrey. I think you've had a lot of speeches right now, but what we do really is we create big murals and in the center of cities. If you think about it, it's really about huge canvases that will stop people in their day-to-day and have them reflect. So art is a universal language. That's what we believe in. And yes, it has the power to touch hearts, minds, and souls, and to have people reflect and start conversations. So it is always about starting conversations. If we can talk about it, then we get closer to solving it. And that's what we're trying to do. So yes, we do a lot of causes. So the child trafficking remains dear to our heart, because today we continue to fund rent and rescue programs every year to go and save kids across the world, still with the Nobel. And that's important to us. But yes, we take a voice out there where we try to actually inspire people in their day-to-day and have them act. It's not always about money. It's about founding your cause and jumping in and just taking it at heart and trying something. And it's like the snowball effect. That's what we believe in, is people connecting together. So we have this incredible app called Behind the Wall. It's free, don't worry. But if you use it, basically looking at our walls, you'll hear the artists, those spectacular artists, and Dragon is one of them, talking about their art. You'll hear also people from the UN, experts and the rest interacting. And we connect those walls together. So if you go today to Houston, you'll have 44 walls in downtown, which are globally between 10 and 20 story high, that constitute kind of a museum, because we do outdoor museums free, that people walk. It's about pedestrians. It's about rediscovering your city, and you can go and bike also the same way, and in a safe mode, of course. But that's what we're trying to do, is create this art out there and have people connect and engage out of it. So if you go in Chatou, also, which is in France, it's a French connection somewhere. Yes, we do have also a museum like this, but across the world. We paint across the world, and I said I wouldn't talk too much, but I already talked way too much. So enough with me. Maybe a bit more about Dragon 76. So if you happen to go in New York, very close from here, if you have the time after that, you can walk a few walls, which are around, one of which is actually from Dragon 76 right here, and is actually the first mural that we did on road safety. And thank you for your support at that time, which we hope engages in New York people to stop, reflect, and think about all that. It's actually a 3D. So if you look at the app, you'll see the car coming alive, whatever, too much. Dragon, a bit more about him. Dragon 76 is an incredible artist from Japan, which people recognize with his skills on spray can. So you didn't have a lot of that tonight, mainly because, spray can inside is not that great, but extremely talented. He happens to be also the US champion of speed painting, just in case you want a bit of a pedigree on Dragon, but very famous for his style, his manga style, if you see his art in general. And enough about me, but let's hear a bit more about himself and his art and what he thinks about his paintings.
Hi, thank you for inviting me today. My name is Dragon 76. I'm an artist from Japan, based in New York now. I have done 2 murals at the United Nations with Street Art Mankind. One was in Texas with the same of Zero Hunger, and the other was large mural with the theme of safety drive, road safety, which is just a short walk from here. I hope that through art, people can live in safe and enjoyable city. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Audrey, Thibault, and Dragon 76.
So behind us, you'll see the reveal of the painting that we just finished with Dragon.